Alright guys, welcome to RC Mojo. This week we're going to be doing a little bit of customizing to the TRX-4. And as a lot of you might know, I do like to have lights on my RCs. And as the first mod we've got a light bar from Murat RC. It's from Poland and I'm fairly sure I'm not pronouncing Murat quite right, so I'll stick a link in the description so you can check out his wares yourself. In the box we've got the light bar itself. It's got a 3D printed case, which is the main reason for picking it over the other bars. It's designed to bolt right up to the 4 holes at the front of the exo cage. Very neat. Also in the box is a 12 volt step-up converter. It takes the 2S or 3S voltage and outputs the 12 volts that the light bar needs. Then we've got a nice little sticker and a set of cap head screws for fitment. First up we need to pop the body off so we can test the bar. Next to the ESC is a little red connector that carries the battery voltage. It's got an annoying little problem though, but we'll get to that. For power we're going to use a 2S pack, but not plug it in yet. The 12 volt converter has a plug on one end and a socket at the other. The plug end goes into the connector on the ESC and the other end connects up to the light bar. A nice clean setup overall, but the little problem I have is as soon as you plug the battery in, the red connector is powered. It doesn't seem like much of a problem, but that light bar is drawing 300 to 400 milliamps from the battery, and over a 2-hour run it's going to take around 20% of the capacity of a 5 amp hour battery. That's quite a hit to the runtime. We could just fit a switch somewhere, which is tempting, but I'd rather it was wireless. Now this is going to be a bit of a bodge. It's an old 433 meg 2-channel relay box. Completely the wrong way to control an LED bar, but I need it working for the day after tomorrow. Well, actually when you're watching this video it will be last week. Either way, I don't have the time to put together a proper setup, so this will have to do for now. All we've got is the 12 volt coming in on one connector, and the relay switch 12 volts going out on the other. It's a bit naff, but it'll do. The other bit we're going to fit is a toggle switch to turn the whole lot on and off. So the toggle switch plugs into the ESC connector. Next is the 12 volt converter, then the relay box, and lastly the light bar. To control it we've got a 433 meg key fob. The lights are connected up to channel 1, so the triangle should turn it on and off. So here we go then, we plug the battery in, flip the toggle switch to power up the radio. Now when we hit the triangle button, the light comes on, and of course we can turn it off again. So now when in the woods I can turn the lights on, and when out in the open I can turn them off to save some power. Okay, we're going to mount the toggle switch up to the chassis. There's a convenient pair of blind holes on the brace under the rear body mounts, and to get to them we actually have to remove the body mounts. As is common with Traxxas, it's a fairly well thought out chassis, so all we do is remove 2 screws and the brace between the top of the damper hoops come away with the body mounts, which makes it easy to remove without losing the height setting on the mounts. To mount the switch I've cut a bit of scrap plastic and drilled a couple of holes in it. There's 2 small holes that match up with the 2 holes in the chassis brace. We're going to use a couple of small self-tappers there to hold it in place, and once they're done up we can fit the switch to the big hole with its nut. Even when the body goes back on we should be able to reach the switch through the bottom of the chassis. The body mount can get refitted too with its 2 screws. They only need to be nipped up and not done up super tight. The bits of plastic interlock, so all the screw does is stop it falling apart. Very nice. Now for the light bar. It's got 4 holes along the top that line up with holes in the exo, so that's easy enough, but we will need to make a hole in the corner of the windscreen for the cable to pass through. We can pop it with a punch so the drill doesn't wander, and so we don't catch the exo, we can also undo the corner screw so we can hold the plastic away from the drills. I ended up using a 3mm drill bit, then opening it out to a rectangle with a Dremel. It's just big enough to fit the red connector. The corner screw needs to go back in first, then we can start threading the small screws into the 3D printed bar. Because it's been printed with a flexible material, the holes aren't perfectly round. The positions are good though, so as long as we get them started by hand, it's all going to work just fine. Again, because the bar's flexible, we need to be very careful about over-tightening the screws. We want the base of the screw head to just be in contact with the bar, but not squashing it. The fit's rather good, and other than the phosphor yellow, it looks rather nice too. On the inside of the shell we can stick the radio box inside the roof with some strips of servo tape. Same with the 12 volt converter. There's a good chance they're going to need to get moved around a bit, but this will get us running. And besides, this is only an interim setup while I get something a bit more useful put together. Well, there we go, that should do the trick. All we do now is connect up the battery, pop the body back on the chassis, connect up the red connector between the switch and the 12-volt converter, and it looks like I'm definitely going to need to move the bits around a bit, as it's a bit of a fiddle to connect up. With it finally connected, all we do is flick the toggle switch to power up the radio, and when we press the triangle button, the light bar comes on. That should do the trick, and in fact, other than the range of the key fob being about 12 inches, it did indeed work a treat. Here's most of the group that went down to Ham Hill last week, with my TRX-4 one in from the right. I didn't get to film anything, as despite the lovely blue sky in the picture, it rained a lot of the afternoon. Next, I'd love to show you some nighttime footage showing the light from the bar, and I did intend to record some, but I got a little bit ahead of myself in getting the nicer setup going, and I've all but completely dismantled the body to get at all the light clusters. I'll have to do a night run at some time just to show it all off, but suffice to say the light bar on its own is plenty to drive by. I think driving it around in the road would probably annoy the neighbours with the light coming through their windows. Great fun. Anyway, that's it for this week. I've got parts on the way to get some more of the ground hauler lighting working, so hopefully we'll get back to that in a couple of weeks. So as always, thanks for watching. Like if you liked, subscribe if you haven't, and if there's something on your mind, leave a comment. Bye guys!